have a Met Council meeting. First, to acknowledge that, as I've been saying the past few weeks, this is the COVID-19 pandemic protocol. And unfortunately, we can't have a public gathering as we have normally do when we're in person. But under the governor's emergency order, we have the authority under Minnesota statutes section 13D.021 that we would use a telephone or other electronic means to actually have a meeting. So in my authority as chair, I am determining that that's the way to go. So if the public, if anybody's listening, would like to make comments or questions, I encourage you to email the following email, and then we'll direct the comments directly to us council members and to staff. So the email is public.info@met.state.mn.us. So it's public.info@met.state.mn.us. And as we've done it before, council members, if you'd like to be recognized, you can press the wave sign. You can speak up if you're just on the phone, or if you can use the chat. But I would say try to use the wave line or just speak up, and we'll recognize you. I ask, actually, if you do speak, remember to say your name for those that may not have a video, may not know who's speaking. So because of the virtual nature of the meeting, we're going to have a lot of roll calls as we've had in the past. And we'll start the meeting that way. So I have my little gavel. I don't have audio, but I have a gavel. And so I'm officially starting this meeting. And to take attendance, we'll start with the
oh, sorry, my computer just froze. Can you guys hear me?
I may not have been the only one having trouble.
Right. Okay. And you said to take roll?
Yes. Liz,
okay.
You're on. Yes, I can't hear you.
Atlas Ingebretson. Barber.
Can kind of take the attendance roll calls, see if we can do it.
Chambliss.
Here.
Cummings.
Here.
Ferguson.
Here.
Fredson.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Lilligren.
Here.
Lindstrom.
Here.
Musset.
Here.
Sterner. Vento.
Here.
Wolf.
Here.
Duran.
Present.
Right. Okay.
That it? I'm sorry, I lost you, Liz.
Yes, can you hear me now?
All right, I'm assuming that's passed. So the first
Yes.
order of business. Yeah, now I can hear you. Okay, let's first order of business to approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
So move.
Okay.
Lindstrom.
All right, Liz, maybe try the roll call again.
Okay, Atlas Ingebretson. Barber.
Aye.
Chambliss.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Fredson.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Lilligren.
Aye.
Lindstrom.
Aye.
Musset.
Aye.
Sterner. Vento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Zelli.
So the next order of business is the approval of the minutes from April 8th, 2020. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Move by Lee.
A second?
Second by Vento.
Thank you. Any discussion, correction? All right. Liz? Call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson, Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musset,
Aye.
Sterner, Vento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Zelli.
Aye. Okay, now, next is the consent agenda. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
Cummings moves.
Thank you.
Both seconds.
All right, any discussion? Liz, please call the roll.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren, Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musset,
Aye.
Vento,
Aye. Aye.
Wolf, okay,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
and Chair Zelli.
Aye.
Lilligren votes aye.
Thank
We-
you.
We counted 3 dog barks as an aye. All right, thank you. That motion carried. Now we are going to the hear from the standing committees and start with Councilmember Lilligren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Community Development Committee brings one item for approval today. And Mr. Chair, this is an amendment to the City of Egan's 2040 Comprehensive Plan. The proposed amendment site is 8 acres located to the southwest of Nichols and Diffley Roads. The amendment proposes to re-guide the planned use of the regional commercial to high-density residential in order to support the development of a multifamily building with 204 units. The proposed development would increase the city's planned density slightly to 6.6 units per acre, and the development as proposed would impact existing habitat on the site characterized as high quality by the Council's Natural Resource Inventory Assessment. Council staff found that the proposed amendment conforms to regional systems plans, is consistent with the Council policies, except for the natural resource policies, and is compatible with the plans of the adjacent and affected jurisdictions. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council, 1, authorize the City of Egan to place its Nichols Apartments Comprehensive Plan Amendment into effect. 2, to find the amendment does not change the city's forecasts. 3, find that the amendment is consistent with natural resource policies of Thrive MSP 2040. And 4, strongly encourage the city to A, protect regionally significant ecological areas and minimize development impacts. B, continue to conserve and protect the proposed development site's natural resources by implementing the city's regulatory tools. And C, guide the proposed development to meet the city's own requirement of an execution of detailed tree inventory, a tree preservation plan, and a tree mitigation plan at the time of the development.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Chambliss, second.
All right. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. Liz, take the roll.
Okay. Councilmember Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musset,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion carries. The Environment Committee has reports on the consent agenda. The Management Committee has no reports, and the Transportation Committee has reports on the consent agenda, which brings us to the joint report of Environment and Community Development Committees, and we have 4 actions. Councilmember Lilligren.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the 4 actions were brought forward with recommendations from both the CD and the Environment Committees. And Mr. Chair, I would note that if we pass these 4 comp plans today, we will have authorized 102 comp plans. So we've crested the magic 100 number, and we have 66 plans left to be approved. So, Mr. Chair, the first item, the following 4 business items are comprehensive plans that are for communities connected to the regional wastewater system, and were all heard in both the Community Development Committee and the Environment Committee. For all of the communities, council staff found that the 2040 plans conform to regional systems plans, are consistent with council policies, and are compatible with plans of adjacent and affected jurisdictions. The first is business item 2020-86. It's to authorize the 2040 comprehensive plan for the city of Wayzata and approve their comprehensive sewer plan. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. From the Community Development Committee, authorize the city of Wayzata to place the 2040 comprehensive plan to effect. Also revise the city's population, households, and employment forecasts upwards as shown in Table 1 of the attached review record, and revise the city's affordable housing need allocation for 2021 to 2030 to 42 units. The recommendation from the Environment Committee is to approve the city of Wayzata's comprehensive sewer plan.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second by Ferguson.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, Liz can call the roll.
All right. Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musset,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion passed. Now, next item, Councilmember Lilligren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next item is the authorization of the comprehensive, is item 2020-91. It is the authorization of the 2040 comprehensive plan for the city of St. Anthony. I'm sorry, I think I have something confusing in my notes. One moment. One moment, I just have to reconcile this with the agenda. My apologies. City of St. Anthony Village, great, okay. So, Mr. Chair, the next item is 2020-91. It's the City of St. Anthony Village 2040 Comprehensive Plan and Comprehensive Sewer Plan. And Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. The recommendation from the Community Development Committee is first, authorize the City of St. Anthony Village to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect. Also revise the city's forecast upwards as shown in tables 1, 2, and 3 of the attached review record. Third, to advise the city's affordable housing need, to revise the city's affordable housing need for 2021 to 2030 to 152 units. Finally, prior to the final plan adoption, the city needs to update or revise the following items. First, acknowledge the services of Metro Mobility and to incorporate the local water management plan that the city adopted on June 11th, 2019. From the Environment Committee, first approve the City of St. Anthony Village's comprehensive sewer plan and also correct the characterization of the extent and billing reimbursement of intercommunity wastewater flow with Minneapolis. And I make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Second.
I don't see the other is. Who's the chair? I think we may have. He looks like he's still on the screen, but his video is.
I heard him.
Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
This is Johnson. I don't want to get too down the. I would just suspend the rules and suggest that our vice chair of the council step in.
I can do that. So there is a motion, and do we have a second?
Councilmember Moose seconded it.
Okay, thank you. Elizabeth Sund, would you like to take the roll call?
Yes. Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musse,
Aye.
Vento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin, Zurin.
Aye.
Great.
Aye.
And is Chair Zelli back?
Okay. Motion carries. Looks like we have lost the chair, at least for a couple of minutes. He's restarting his computer. Well, shall we move along to the third item? Mr. Lilligren, you've got Deep Haven. You want to tee that one up for us?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, the third joint committee item is 2020-93. It's the authorization of the 2040 comprehensive plan for the city of Deep Haven and to approve their comprehensive sewer plan. Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions with recommendations from the Community Development Committee. Authorize the city of Deep Haven to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect. 2, revise the city's forecast for population, households, and employment as shown in Table 1 of the attached review record. 3, revise the city's affordable housing need allocation for 2021 to 2030 to 5 units. 4, strongly encourage the city to guide property at density sufficient to support the development of housing to meet its affordability housing need allocation. And finally, 5th, advise the city first prioritize final plan adoption. The plan must be revised to acknowledge prior to final plan adoption. The plan must be revised to acknowledge the city's affordable housing allocation. B, to be consistent with the council's housing policy, the plan should consider all widely available housing tools, including CDBG funds and home funds through Hennepin County and Hennepin County AHIF funds. And finally, to implement the advisory comments in the review record for land use. The recommendation from the Environment Committee is to approve the City of Deep Haven's comprehensive sewer.
Seconded by Ferguson.
Thank you, council member. I don't have a screen that is showing anybody's picture, but it sounded like perhaps there was a second by Ferguson. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there any further question, discussion? Hearing none. Liz, would you like to call the roll?
Yes. Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musse,
Aye.
Vento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. I'm back.
You're back.
Thank you. Although while I was completely shut off and had to restart my computer, I got a text from our regional administrator and said that mommy was chairing the meeting. So I thought, my mommy? Really? No. Okay, Molly. Thank you. Lovely. Thank you, Molly.
Glad you're back.
It's Meredith says autocorrect is back. Thank you. Have we gone through? Are we at number 4?
Yes.
All righty. Councilmember Lilligren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The 4th item and final item from the joint committees is business item 2020-96. It's the authorization of the city of Roseville's 2040 comprehensive plan and comprehensive sewer plan. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. From the Community Development Committee, authorize the city of Roseville to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect. Also revise the city's population and employment forecast upwards as shown in Table 1 of the attached review record. And finally, advise the city
Few seconds, his screen is frozen.
Yeah.
Yep, I got the same hazard sign that I got when the chair went down.
Yeah, it's like a little triangle.
Yep.
Yes.
I
Well,
move to approve.
is there a second?
Second,
I'll second that. Lindstrom.
All right, lovely. Any discussion? All right, Liz can call the roll.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren, Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musset,
Aye.
Vento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. All right, I think we got.
Chair?
through- Yes.
This is Councilmember Atlas Ingebretson. I am on the call, and I was the one who made that motion to move, just so that that we know for minutes keeping.
Absolutely, thank you.
And I vote aye.
You vote aye.
Thank
We're
you.
going to count that as an aye. Thank you. Lovely. Good to see you. All right, we're on. You know, we were doing so well, and somehow now must be something about a beautiful weather there.
Chair Zell,
Yes.
this is Councilmember Chambliss. I just wanted to note that regarding Roseville's comprehensive plan, looking at their overall density at 10.52 minimum units up to 30.9, there's a great opportunity for, and has been for, affordable housing units in that city. And it's just really nice to be able to see such a nice mix of residential and commercial in that city.
Right. Duly noted. Thank you for sharing that observation. All right, so we have our final item today is actually an information item and on our wastewater reuse policy and practice. And Janine Clancy and Deborah Manning from Environmental Services, welcome. I'm so glad you could be here on Earth Day, of course, totally appropriate. We should be talking about water and being thoughtful and efficient about water. So take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
My name is Janine Clancy. I'm the Assistant General Manager for Technical Services and Environmental Services. And again, thank you for the opportunity to present the information item about the Council's wastewater reuse initiative, and in particular, policies and practices that guide that initiative. Deborah Manning, Assistant Manager for Plant Engineering and Technical Services, will be presenting with me. And Deborah is the lead for wastewater reuse for the Council. Next slide, please. When we talk about wastewater reuse, we mean the practice of treating and reusing wastewater treatment plant effluent for beneficial use before releasing it back into the water cycle. We use the term reclaimed water for plant effluent that has received additional treatment to make it suitable for specific reuse applications or beneficial uses such as industrial uses, groundwater augmentation, and irrigation. MCES has only considered non-potable or not potable water uses in its reuse initiatives. Next slide, please. The level of additional treatment needed for wastewater reuse when the use is off of a wastewater treatment plant site is defined by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency on a case-by-case basis, using California's Title 22 rules as a guide. If the use is on a wastewater treatment plant site, MPCA considers it an internal industrial reuse and does not issue permits for the use. MPCA's guidance is based on increasing levels of treatment based on the proposed use. As the reuse application's potential for human contact increases, the reuse permit limits become more stringent. Reclaimed water uses such as toilet flushing and food crop irrigation require the highest levels of treatment, meeting the 2.2 coliform level as shown on this graph. Reclaimed water uses such as irrigation for fodder crops or non-food trees require a lower level of treatment, meeting the 200 picocoliform level. Beside permit limits, MPCA requires a user to follow best practice, such as irrigating only the root level in orchards and vineyards. Next slide, please. The Office of General Counsel has advised that under Minnesota statutes, the council has statutory authority to provide reclaimed water service to users in the region, whether those are communities or industries or others. The statute states that the council has authority to construct, equip, operate, and maintain interceptors and wastewater treatment works needed to implement the council's comprehensive plan for collection, treatment, and disposal of sewage in the metro area. Wastewater reuse qualifies as treatment and disposal of sewage and is consistent with the council's comprehensive plan, which in this case is Thrive MSP and the 2040 Water Resources Policy Plan. But there are limits to the council's authority. The council does not have authority to provide retail water service and is prohibited from using its resources as gifts. Next slide, please. The Thrive MSP 2040 plan states that the council shall pursue wastewater reuse where economically feasible as a means to promote sustainable water resources. In addition, the 2040 Water Resources Policy Plan guides council staff to work with our partners, maximize regional benefits from regional investments, and to provide efficient, high-quality, sustainable wastewater services as staff pursue wastewater reuse. These guiding documents have been used in developing our wastewater reuse initiative. Next slide, please. As council staff began to get serious inquiries about the feasibility for wastewater reuse from communities and from industries, staff realized that Thrive and the 2040 Water Resources Policy Plan did not provide enough guidance to fully respond to these inquiries. In response, the council authorized a wastewater reuse policy task force. The task force was active from April through November 2017 and made recommendations to the council. These recommendations received review and comment in public workshops and a public hearing in 2018 and formed the basis for the council-approved amendments to the Water Resources Policy Plan. Next slide, please. The task force focused on 3 questions. First, do wastewater reuse projects have a regional benefit? And if so, should the region, through the municipal wastewater charge, contribute to a regional cost share? And then finally, how should MCES partner with local communities or water utilities for wastewater reuse projects? Next slide, please. The key features of the council-approved policy amendment are summarized on this slide. I just want to focus on a few features. First, and probably most importantly, cooperation and partnership with local communities and water suppliers is a must. We will cooperate but not compete with local communities and water suppliers when implementing wastewater reuse. A community's comprehensive plan must support the MCES reclaimed water service in the community. Second, reclaimed water service needs to be based on the actual cost of service, not a single one-size-fits-all rates. The reclaimed water user needs to pay for the service with the exception of any regional cost share based on the regional wastewater system benefit. And I'll talk a little bit more about this on the next slide. And finally, if there is a regional benefit, the cumulative regional cost share must be capped at $1.65 million per year. Next slide, please. Some wastewater reuse projects may provide a regional benefit based on specific criteria that are in the policy amendment. A project may qualify for a regional cost share if the project is in a sub-regional area where the regional wastewater system is built to serve long-term growth and where water managers in that sub-area are now concerned about sustainable water supply and impact of future water use to the point that those concerns would make it difficult to obtain a DNR groundwater use permit. Or another would be that the proposed project would reduce MCES's surface water discharge, therefore delaying capital projects to meet more stringent regulatory requirements, such as a limit on phosphorus, nitrogen, or chloride. A project that meets these criteria, would be considered for a regional cost share. Once council staff reviews an evaluation of a potential cost share, council members would need to authorize a public hearing for public comment on that potential cost share. And the council would have to authorize any regional cost share. This careful process would be followed before a cost share would be applied to the project cost in order to ensure regional benefit of any project. And I will now turn the presentation over to Deborah Manning.
Thank you, Janine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Next slide, please. The East Bethel Water Reclamation Facility produces reclaimed water that meets MPCA's guidance. Initially, 0.025 million gallons per day of wastewater from homes, businesses, and industries in East Bethel flowed to the plant. I'm sorry, I need to check. I'm getting feedback. Is that occurring with others? No.
A little bit. You're coming through pretty well.
Okay, thank you. Now flow is up to 0.05 million gallons a day, and it's treated to the highest level of treatment required by the MPCA for any use. Water is piped to one of two rapid infiltration basins with underground pipes through which the reclaimed water flows. It then filters through the ground into a superficial sand aquifer that discharges to Crooked Brook. No local drinking water wells are in the superficial sand aquifer. MCS monitors water in the aquifer to track whether the reclaimed water has any impact on groundwater. To date, we have seen no impact. Next slide, please. Reuse at MCS's wastewater treatment plants has been ongoing for years, and we are looking to the future for wastewater reuse. MCS currently reuses treated effluent at most of its wastewater treatment plants. Note that this is treated effluent, not reclaimed water treated to the higher level required by MPCA for uses off plant sites. Effluent reuse serves a number of uses depending on the plant. Examples include the incineration process. At Metro, that's 6 million gallons a day reused, and at Seneca, that's 2 million gallons a day reused. At the Eagles Point wastewater treatment plant, we use a process to recover heat from the effluent and use that heat to warm the administration building. And throughout our wastewater treatment plants, effluent is reused for yard hydrants, tank cleaning, and service water for equipment and processes. In the future, we are making plans for wastewater reuse at Metro and potentially at the Empire plants. MCS staff is currently designing a reclaimed water facility for the Metro plant. The goal is to shift 1.5 million gallons a day of groundwater use to reclaimed water use. Not only will this preserve high-quality groundwater for higher uses, such as potable water, it will provide a higher quality of water for our operators to use for practices such as tank cleaning. I'll discuss the potential Southeast Metro water reclamation facilities in another slide. Next slide, please. Areas of the region that appear to have greater potential for cost-effective reuse have characteristics, including an industrial area, their future projected growth, the wastewater treatment plant effluent quantity and quality is conducive to reuse. There's land available for the additional treatment facilities, and there are users in close enough proximity to wastewater infrastructure so that reclaimed water distribution piping costs are reasonable. Finally, there must be a driver, a reuse driver, such as potential difficulty getting a groundwater appropriation. All of these point to the Empire Wastewater Treatment Plant service area in Dakota County as having high reuse potential. Next slide, please. Motivated by concerns about groundwater use, the City of Rosemont approached Met Council to discuss options for wastewater reuse for non-potable, industrial, or irrigation purposes. We are working with the city and have developed planning level concepts and costs for this system, which could have multiple users on a single distribution system. This slide shows a potential Southeast Metro water reclamation facility in the upper right-hand corner of the map. That's east of 52 and north of Highway 42 at the former Rosemont wastewater treatment plant site. At that site, wastewater from the Empire treatment plant would be treated to the higher level MPCA requires and then distributed to potential users in the Umar Park area. We are in discussion with the city about costs, challenges, and opportunities for this wastewater reuse, and the city is pursuing legislative funding for reuse. Next slide. Finally, chloride or salt is a major challenge for wastewater reuse. Although MCS's reclaimed water would meet the MPCA's guidance level, additional treatment may be needed to meet the user's water requirements. The reclaimed water user would have to provide additional treatment for its particular use. For irrigation or industrial cooling water use, fluoride in the reclaimed water would likely need to be reduced. This graph shows how chloride affects two of the most common reclaimed water uses, cooling water and irrigation. The chloride concentration in reclaimed water suitable for industrial cooling ranges from 100 to 500 milligrams per liter. The chloride concentration in reclaimed water that has no restriction for irrigation is 100 milligrams per liter. As you can see in this graph, the blue bars show the average day chloride concentration in the effluent from MCS's wastewater treatment plants, arranged by the river they discharge into. Wastewater treatment plants are a conduit for, not a source of chloride. Most of the chloride in our treatment plant effluent comes from water softeners. The effluent chloride concentration for all of our plants is above 100 milligrams per liter, and some plants have discharge above 500 milligrams per liter. This means that the reclaimed water user may need to reduce chloride if it wants to use reclaimed water from MCS. The cost of treatment to reduce the chloride concentration in reclaimed water can be very high, making reclaimed water cost prohibitive. This is a concern for some communities in the region and to MCS, as we are interested in supporting the economic prosperity of all communities in the region, including those facing water challenges. In 2020 and 2021, an MCS team will work with representatives from municipal, industrial, and watershed customers to assess options for dealing with this chloride challenge. MCS staff presented the same information at the Minnesota chapter of the American Public Works Association meeting in the fall of last year. We will continue working with municipal public works directors and others involved in this chloride challenge to address this important water quality problem. This concludes my part of the presentation. Janine and I would be happy to answer questions or receive comments.
Any questions, anyone?
This is Councilmember Chambliss.
Go ahead, Rita.
Thank you. So this is very interesting to me in terms of the wastewater treatment plant and process. So it's an opportunity for me to learn about how we can have a healthier environment. I do have a question about the water challenges for certain communities that was mentioned. What are some of those challenges besides the excess chloride? And what are the impacts of chloride on the communities?
Mr. Chair, I would like to answer that question.
Please.
The community's challenges that I mentioned are mostly about their concern about groundwater use, and they are looking for reclaimed water service in order to extend their groundwater resources. And that reclaimed water service could help them do that. The chloride challenge is really that with many communities having a lot of home water softeners, the use of those softeners contributes chloride to wastewater going to our plants. And that really restricts the reuse that we can do without very high levels of treatment in order to reduce the chloride concentration.
So that's where the higher cost is coming from.
Mr. Chair and Councilmember Chambliss, yes.
I had always understood that you really couldn't filter chloride out of water. I mean, that once chloride's in the water, it's there forever. Is that true? Is there a way to mitigate those high levels in ways?
Chair Zelli, yes. Reverse osmosis, which is a water treatment process, can be used, and it will reduce chloride concentrations. However, it's very expensive, and it then creates a reject water that's difficult to dispose of.
you in a sense have a much higher concentration in the reject water, and where does that go? I suppose. Yeah.
And we're, yes, Chair Zelli, yes, that's exactly right.
Really interesting. That Rosemont, how far along are we on that proposal? Is that, it seems like it's active, but would that something that would actually be under construction anytime soon, or is it kind of often is a concept?
Janine, I would
Mr.
like to
Chair,
defer to you.
sure. Mr. Chair and council members, it's really a concept. Now, a few years ago, we had an industrial user just north of the site that Deborah was referring to in the city of Inver Grove Heights that would have required a significant amount of water on a daily basis. I believe the permit that they would have been requesting from the DNR was 3 million gallons a day, which the permit, the DNR indicated that was probably unlikely that they would agree to that. And so they were looking for reclaimed water as an alternative water source. And during that time, we developed a facility plan and had a public hearing. And unfortunately, not because of the reclaimed water portion of the project, because of funding that was available for the project to proceed. It was a waste to energy, it was a gasification of municipal solid waste. That process, it would gasify municipal solid waste. And their funding source was applied to that project on the West Coast. So unfortunately, that project did not go forward, but we got to a feasibility level. And as a result of that, the communities in that area have become much more interested, and we've learned a great deal about what kinds of challenges we would have to overcome in order to do a project like this. But again, we would need a user that would pay the majority of the cost in order to advance a project.
I see. Any other questions? Riva?
One more, sorry. So I'm just really curious about natural means of preventing the hard water, which is the reason why so many people are putting soft water softeners in their homes. What can we do proactively to have less reliance on the water softeners so that we don't have to spend so much on the reuse?
Mr. Chair and council members, I think the real answer is working with the communities in the region. Cities, the problem in Minnesota is that our groundwater is very high in iron and manganese, which is not very, that's not very good in homes. It stains clothing and stains plumbing fixtures. So, property owners and homeowners want to take care of that. The concept would be that communities, as they think about advancing their water systems, is that they think about softening at a municipal level, which can be done much more efficiently, and we believe could actually reduce the amount of chloride coming into the system. And that's something that we would really like to work with our customer communities long-term on.
So in a sense, we're over softening on an individual house by house basis.
I would say that it's not as efficient as it would be if it were on a municipal basis.
I see. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to throw in my 2 cents on this, having a little experience on the local level. We do get complaints in the city of Plymouth when I was council member and mayor on the hardness of our water. It's pretty bad in this neck of the woods. And, we encourage them to work with whoever their vendor of choice to install their water softeners. There have been efforts over time to seek municipal treatment for the entire city. It is extremely, extremely costly for a city to do that. And it also mandates that everybody have soft water. And believe it or not everybody wants soft water. So it's just one of those tricky issues where, you know, we've got to figure out how to get it out of the water, but having local units of government step in and take on another big project where not all people uniformly agree that would be the solution is a tough one. I akin it to organized waste collection. So I'll just leave it at that.
That's really, thank you. That's helpful.
Mr. Chair?
Wendy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. MOSAC will probably end up looking at the chlorides in the water supply issue as well. Another factor is people put in a water softener, and as long as it doesn't break, they never consider it again. They just put the salt in and let it run, and they don't really think about it. And there are major efficiencies that have happened in terms of how well those machines work. So if you have an old one that's really inefficient, you're using a lot of salt and putting a lot of chloride into the system and not even realizing that with a new machine, you could use far less and even have better quality water.
Interesting. Any other questions about the reuse? Well, I want to thank our presenters, Janine and Deborah. We learned something every meeting, and that is helpful, and good luck with your projects. And it's great that we know it's big and complicated, but also opportunity. At this point, we're at point for some reports. If anybody, any council member wants anything that they'd like to share, report, observation.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Hi, this is Councilmember Barber. I just wanted to chat a little bit about today. We had conducted the bus service allocation study workshop, and we were able to do it virtually. Big shout out to our consultants who helped with that and our staff who organized everything, because it worked really, really well. And I really am looking forward to sort of the outcome from that. And thank you, Chair, for participating. We had several council members, Councilmember Lee, Cummings, Johnson, Lilligren, Wolf, a whole bunch of you. So thank you all for participating, because I think it was a great session. The next steps that will be coming out of that was those values that we put together will come out and be rolled out into 3 different kind of service scenarios, and then they'll be evaluated, and then there'll be additional work where we'll look at investment strategies and that type of thing. I think with what's going on right now in the world, this is a good time to have these discussions as we look as when we get a chance to start kind of reopening parts of our system as to where we want to focus investment and time. So, but thank you all very, very much for participating. I think it was a very successful virtual event.
Well, you know, and I thank you, Deb, and I second the thought that was really interesting, and hats off to those council members who participated, but also we had a great collaborative, a great cross-section of input there coming in, and I think a very energized groups.
Yeah, many mayors and county commissioners and things like that, which was really nice to see.
Molly? Oh, your mic's off.
Here we go. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to piggyback on that a little bit. I thought that it was a great meeting and it went really, really well considering how many people were participating. The slide deck was excellent. And I think if there are council members who were not able to participate today, if you review the slide deck and have comments, I think that they're still I think that they would welcome any kind of feedback or comments, especially at the end where there are questions based on, obviously it would be different because there was a lot of discussion and a lot of chat going on. But if other council members had input that they wanted to add to the process, I think that would still be welcome.
It would be welcome. I will make sure Jenna sends it out to all council members so everyone has access to it.
Good.
Thank you. I also think they really had a good use of technology. Somehow my computer was working at that time, but also they used chat rooms, mobile devices for voting. I mean, kind of had it all. And it was very, even though it's a fairly long time commitment, there was a lot of substance and a lot of interaction for that format. Anything else anybody wants to share, talk about?
Chair,
Yes.
I have my hand up, but I know that people can't necessarily see that virtual hand, not my real hand. This is Councilmember Atlas Ingebretson.
Hi, Lynette. And no, somehow my picture is hiding your hand. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I just wanted to kind of call out two things that I really have been thinking about and came up in the meeting today in my small group conversation, and I think in some of the chats too, that I just hope that I'm just really inspired right now, and a number of other people shared this, that we really take equity so seriously. In the all too real lesson that COVID is teaching us. And so it came up a lot in our conversation today on the transportation workshop. And we had, in my group was mostly mayors from suburban communities. And that was their big thing they were talking about. I just really hope that we can really think as we are planning, what are we learning from this, and able to pivot in and really be thinking about in our hopes to make sure that our vendors are really able to talk about with expertise racial equity and the implications it has for their work. When we work with vendors, when we're selecting vendors, is one of the things that came to mind for me. I also just think about, as we're talking about planning, that we don't, in all of our areas, whether it's parks and other places across our work, environmental work, that we're really thinking about the implications of equity and the future we really want to have and taking advantage of this opportunity to learn what that could really possibly be and needs to be for all of us.
Thank you for those comments. And also, I observed equity was scoring very high for those of us who are participating in terms of priorities, and that was some consistent that was good to see. And also, I want to acknowledge Councilmember Chambliss, who brought it up at the last meeting, even though your audio wasn't working so well. It's working well today, but you really brought out before it has been fully reported how the COVID pandemic is affecting people of color more than others. And of course, even today, there's a large article in the Star Tribune. I just want to acknowledge
yes. Thank you. It's so important to get ahead of it. In Minnesota, we're much more fortunate than some other communities of color in terms of the impact, but we can see the numbers starting to spike up for communities of color in Minnesota. And when that happens, whether it's the homeless, communities of color, our seniors, especially when we're mobile, we know what happens with the COVID transmission. So thanks for highlighting that.
Councilmember Vento, you've had your real hand up for some time here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to share with the council members and the staff who are on the call that I'm representing the council on the Governor's Council for an Age-Friendly Minnesota. We've had several meetings. We met today, and Councilmember Johnson, the mayor, and several city council members and staff from Maple Grove presented on their age-friendly work, and it was excellent. But it's an ambitious project being led by some really smart people, including the chair of our group, Sherry Pugh from, I believe she's with DHS, but I may be misspeaking. Anyway, it's a great group and we're working hard, and our goal is to present some recommendations to the governor by December regarding ways that our communities throughout the state can embrace age-friendly practices, services, and opportunities. And if any of your communities have needs or strategies, ideas that they're already using that may be of value in this work, I'd appreciate your giving me a heads up, nudging me, whatever. I want to make sure that I represent the council and the metropolitan area to the best of my ability. I will tell you that I'm working on a couple of subgroups right now. One of them is emergency preparedness that incorporates age-friendly thinking and actions, timely subject. Also, broadband and internet phone access. I think there are several of us who represent townships or cities that struggle with broadband issues. But it's certainly a statewide issue, and it's more often thought of as a greater Minnesota issue, but there are metropolitan areas that are struggling with that. And so if any of those connect, let me know. I do want everyone to know that diversity, equity, and inclusion are a significant part of the conversation and are very much on the radar. So the group is doing good work, and I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Thank you. Any other, our regional administrator, are you still here? Do you have any comments, Meredith?
I am still here. I think my only comment is that our staff are just exceptional as we go through the COVID pandemic. I know there's a lot of things that we don't see on a day-to-day basis, but we have folks who are building websites and writing communication documents and providing assistance to our fellow state agencies. And we have folks who are rolling with the punches on a day-to-day basis with federal legislative changes and state changes and updating our human resources policies and, manning OC Health phone banks to get through employees who are on leave and let them know about changes. And so those are just a few examples, but I just want to say there is so much happening, and I am so proud of this organization.
Well, I think you'll have a lot of agreement from all of us, and hats off to you for your leadership, both the council and for the state, honestly. Anne, any words from the general counsel?
Yes, my advice is to get outside and enjoy some of the sun at a nice social distance. So that's all I have.
With that wise direction that I always follow general counsel's advice, I think we should all walk out. I've been watching kayaks go by in the lake in front of me. So unless there's any other comments and without objection, I will call this meeting adjourned. And we look forward to the next time we get to visit and enjoy the day. Thank you so much.
Stay safe, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.